This is a normal Lamball, and this is a shiny Lamball. This exciting Palworld mod makes hunting lucky pals a lot more fun by changing their colors. In this vid, I'm going to showcase each of the pals that have changes with this mod so far. After I discuss each change that was made, I will offer my thoughts on some alternative shiny color palettes instead of the ones from the mod. If you watch until the end of the video, I will show you how to download the mod pack so that you can have this feature in your game as well. Leave a comment telling me which color swap is your favorite. Lamball follows a typical stereotype that one would expect from a shiny variant. Lamball goes from a white sheep with yellow horns and yellow diamond vest buttons, or whatever you want to call them, to a black sheep complete with orange tinted vest buttons that, in my opinion, complement the black wool quite well. Orange also happens to be my favorite color, so yeah, no, there's that too. But if I had to change one thing, I would probably change the orange vest color to a red color. I feel like black and red always goes well together no matter what the pairing is. Overall, I think Lamball is one of my favorites in this pack though. Kativa goes from a lovely pink to a soothing purple lavender color. Not a bad variant in my opinion, but I feel like this would be even better if it were to follow the more traditional color scheme of a regular cat. So say gray, black, white, or even brown. I think brown is the best choice here. I think I get what Palworld was going for originally with the pink color. They were almost making it like a Sphinx hairless cat, which now that I think about it is kind of gross. Cats with hair are way cuter. A simple change of making it into like a brownish color would almost make it look like Garfield. Orange brown, you know? And a shiny form of Garfield in Palworld sounds good to me. Sparkit goes from a yellow, black, and white color scheme to an interesting chromatic gold with white accents. Personally, I think that this shiny variation would have been way more sleek if it had swapped the original colors from being mostly yellow to instead having it be a light blue. In nature, lightning is most commonly white, but can actually be any color in the UV spectrum. Yellow is just the most commonly portrayed color. I think that blue lightning looks particularly cool. That's why I would go with this here. Melpaka goes from a white wool color to a more sinister looking purple color while keeping the red eyes. Something about this color scheme just makes me feel like it's an evil alpaca, and I don't know how to feel about it. If I had the choice, I think a more eye-catching color scheme for this pal would involve swapping out the pink colors for a yellow color. There are some alpacas that have a more yellowish brown wool color, and this shiny form would reflect both the white wool alpacas and the brown/yellow wool alpacas much more effectively. Lifmunk goes from a grassy green color with a red jewel on its head to a very classy reddish orange with what looks to be like a crown of jewels on its head. I like this design a lot, and it reminds me of autumn and the changing colors of the leaves. If I had to offer an alternative color palette for this pal, I would probably consider something like a yellow or a pure red just to complement the full color spectrum of fall foliage. Honestly, I think that the developers of Palworld should have 3 different color forms of this pal in particular, catchable depending on the location in game. Just makes it that much more immersive. Gummoss goes from a color palette of brown, orange, and green to a color palette that resembles a toadstool mushroom. Besides the green leaves on its head, everything in its designs and color palette draws on the inspiration from those mushrooms. The red cap with the white dots and the pale/white body to represent the stem of the mushroom. I really like this shiny variant, and I think the only thing that I would change is the leaves on its head. Perhaps just get rid of them to really make it look like a true mushroom. The color of its cap could also maybe be changed from red to a yellowish brown so that it resembles more common mushrooms than the toadstool mushroom. Sui goes from a white furred creature to a light blue/purple coloration. I can't even come close to pinpointing the reasoning behind this color swap, as even in-game Sui is just described as a curious floof, so I have no idea what it is. That being said, I think a more interesting color swap for this pal would potentially be a more grass green. Oftentimes, especially in the early game, you could find Sui in a grassy terrain area, just kind of running around. So maybe if it was green, it could blend in a little bit more and kind of be a little bit more sneaky for the adventurers in the world. If anybody knows what Sui is supposed to be, please tell me in the comments. Pangolette goes from being a blue color to a black color, highlighted by blue eyes, blue buttons on its front, and a white underbelly. I like this as it makes it seem like it's wearing a suit, but I feel like another strong variation of this could have it be like yellow in some spots with that black accent, so it resembles a little bit more of like an emperor penguin. Vixie goes from a tannish yellow to a very interesting decision of a green and cyan color, almost as if it's taking after its eye color in its original form. Vixie is definitely based off of a fox, hence the name Vixie. Vixen means fox, so I think a more compelling shiny form here would be a lovely red with red red eyes, as the red fox is one of the most common and well-known species of fox around the world. T-Fint goes from a white/cream color with blue accents to an all blue color with a brownish orange accent along its body. For whatever reason, I think purple here would be better for the majority of its color scheme. Blue works too and makes sense because a lot of elephants are like a bluish or darkish gray, but for some reason, purple just calls out to me here more. Not sure why, if I'm being completely honest. Daydream goes from a dark purple color with a vibrant spacey pink for its hair to a white color with the same color scheme for its hair. I think it looks pretty good overall. It almost gives off more ghostly vibes, but I feel like this shiny would be better served if mainly the hair color changed. I think what would look really sleek with this would be its normal body color or even a little bit darker with a cool red hair color. I think it makes it look a lot more menacing and would probably terrify me if it was chasing me at night, whether in Palworld or in real life. Nox goes from a more bluish white and purple color scheme to a white and purple color scheme, which I think looks fantastic to begin with. I think Nox would look great with a red color palette again, and not for the same reason as Vixie. I think that Nox would look great with a red tint due to its jewels and how they could be interpreted as rubies if it was red. For that matter, even colors like yellow or green could work, as emeralds and topaz are also really cool jewels as well. Kind of hard to pick with Nox as you can take it any way. Heck, you could even go for like even more blue to make it like a sapphire. In my opinion, Fwack has to be one of the weakest shiny changes in this mod pack so far. It goes from a nice ocean blue to an interesting pink color. Personally, I think this shiny would be absolutely perfect if it became yellow, because you know, ducks are often depicted as yellow in media, even though they aren't usually yellow in real life unless they're a duckling. But you know, it definitely makes the most sense here rather than pink. Foxbarks goes from a brilliant orange color to a more subdued pinkish white color while keeping a burning orange tail. I think that this shiny would do really well with the complete opposite color palette. Instead of being orange, I think it should be changed over into an aqua blue. Not necessarily to imply that it's a water type now, but I think it should be blue because blue flames are known to be way hotter than red or orange flames. So I think that a blue Foxbarks would give it that intimidating edge as it's really hot. Tansy gets a color swap from a jungle green to an aqua green instead. I think a better design choice here would be to swap it from its original green color to a brownish orange, which almost resembles the color scheme of most orangutans. No other color just makes sense to me here for this one. Chickapee gets a pretty fun change here in my opinion. It goes from a red crest and crop to a green crest and crop. There really wouldn't be much of a rhyme or reason for my suggested changes for Chickapee, but I feel like the color blue would be a nice alternative to this form, just merely because of the contrast between red and blue. No other reason. Depresso gets a color change from a dark blue and purple in its original form to a red and orange color in its shiny form. Given this pal's name and its traits, I feel that anything that is muted and more subdued would work in general here. Despite this though, I think the strongest thing to do with this pal, honestly, would just be to make it a bright pink, which is the complete opposite of what its personality is in the game. Fuddler goes from a brown body with a yellow scarf to a blue body with a red scarf around its neck. Fuddler is basically a mole, which likes to dig in the ground, hence why the brown color scheme really works for it. But if I had to change the colors, I'm not so sure that blue would be the best choice here. I think a solid color choice for Fuddler would be pink. There are some moles with pink body parts, and there's even the naked mole rat, which is quite the pink color if you look it up. It's also a little gross. It's kind of like that Sphinx cat from before. Rush Ore's colors simply flip their position. The stripes on his body become a darker brown, while the larger surface areas become a lighter brown. A cool twist on this that I don't really have a reason for would be to just switch it from a brown to a shade of purple, so maybe it won't look like it wants to kill me every time I see it. I swear, every time I see one of these in the early game, especially if there's more than one, I feel like it's just absolutely gonna wreck my day. Ruby is an interesting one because it shares a lot of the same traits with Foxbarks. They're both basically fire foxes. I'm not sure why the developers decided to make two pals with such similar characteristics in the early game, but who am I to judge? The shiny form is unique though because it focuses primarily on the upper part of its body by giving it a black accent. A cool change for this pal would kind of be along the same lines as Foxbarks, except instead of making it blue, it could be yellow. I personally think that Foxbarks is a way better design than Ruby, so that's why I would give Foxbarks the blue hotter flame and I would give Ruby the more subdued yellow flame. So that's all 20 of the pals that have different color changes in this mod pack. If you enjoyed that showcase, leave a like on the video, and please share your thoughts with me on the color changes in the comments. Now, as I promised, I would include an installation guide for these mods. There's a few common pitfalls that some people have fallen into, including myself. Overall, it's a very easy process to do though, so there should be no issues for the most part. First things first, you are going to want to download Curse Forge plus Overwolf. This will act as a mod hub for your games, and it'll actually automatically detect Palworld is installed on your computer. From there, you can edit your mod page to manage all of the mods that you have on Palworld. And if you don't like Overwolf running in the background, just go to your startup apps and turn it off and make sure that it doesn't turn on when you start your computer. In order to get this mod to work, you're going to need 3 things in the following order. You're going to need to install UE4SS first. So using the link in the description, you're going to download it. A really helpful tool for this is going to be WinRAR, so you can extract the files easier. A link for that will be in the description as well. So after downloading the UE4SS file, you're going to want to use WinRAR to extract the files into the following path on your Finder. The path will be in the description below. If you're using Xbox Game Pass, you're going to want to use a path that uses the WinGDK prompt. Once it has been extracted to the proper folder, you're going to navigate to that folder and open up the UE4SS settings INI file. At bare minimum, you're going to need the notepad to view this file, and your PC should automatically have that downloaded. You're going to scroll down and find the following prompt, so B use object array cache and change it from true to false. After that, you're going to also want to find graphics API and make sure that's set to DX11. Once you've made those changes, please make sure to save your notepad. If you have previously used UE4SS 2.5.2, you're going to have to delete the file that's named xinput1_3 or 1_4 for Xbox Game Pass. Please note that these changes are important because if you don't make them, your game will very likely crash upon startup. After that, you're going to want to navigate to the link in the description and download OK Overhaul. From that download, you're going to get a pack file, and all you're going to want to do is bring it into the following path. Or you can simply just click one button on the CurseForge mod loader and it'll automatically install the file where you want it to be. Once you go into game, you should see the following pop-up saying that the mod was successfully installed. If you are struggling with the last step and not seeing the in-game prompt, I encourage you to simply try reinstalling UE4SS. All you would need to do is delete the 2 files that were extracted originally, so dwmapi.dll and UE4SS.dll, and then just repeat the earlier steps. I found that this fixed it for me when the prompt would not show up when loading into the game. So to download the actual Shiny mod, you have 2 options. If you want to do it automatically, just click the install button on the CurseForge app after looking up Zincanite's Shiny Pals. But if you prefer to do it manually, you can just use the link in the description and download the pack file from Zincanite's Shiny Pals and put it into the packs folder or the Logic Packs folder. And after that, your mod should be working just fine. Really, the trickiest part is definitely installing UE4SS, so just make sure that is all good, and the rest should be super simple with CurseForge. If you liked this video, be sure to take a look at our other Palworld content, especially our Palworld vs Pokemon Smasher Pass.